for the Dog Dialectic. I am Ashley Jacobson with Airborne Canine, and this is Kelly Ortega of KJ Canines out in Texas. How you doing, Kelly?
I am sunburnt.
Oh, really? Why are you sunburnt?
Well, I'm on vacation right now, so we've been swimming and we're at the beach, and my mind feels very poor today. So I'm going to
good.
be very stupid on this episode.
It's going to make for a great podcast episode.
Yes.
Speaking of which, what is today's topic?
Today we are talking about reactivity.
Hell yeah. Awesome. So before we get into that, I don't think I have any real updates. We did get some more cool Redline canine products in. Like I said, they're not going to be on the website, but if you want them, let me know. We just got these really nice tab leashes in. They are Sure Grip, and they're pretty colors. I got blue and green. We got Sure Grip longer leashes, like 6-foot leashes. Got all sorts of good stuff here.
I saw you just got biothane collars in.
Yes, we do. Daria's wearing hers, but yeah, they're really nice. And we just ordered a whole bunch more colors because we basically sell out of them every time we vend. So
those look pretty cool.
I like them. And we also got leather working dog agitation collars too. So if you're looking for like a nice 2-inch leather collar, we have those as well. Those are available on the website. So
I actually get you up for one of those here soon.
For Miss
Gracie, also for future puppy.
Yeah, for little Miss Dixie.
No, not for Dixie. I'm hoping to get a male, so hopefully it's not a little miss, but a little mister.
A mister. Nice.
Although Dixie did go swimming today, which was interesting.
Really? Did she like it?
No, she likes to hang out on the little pool rafts, but I mostly, because she loses her balance really easy and will just fall over while she's walking. So I wanted to see that if she fell into the pool, do I at least have some time to get her, kind of thing. And
she sink like a rock.
Yeah, she swims pretty good. She just isn't smart. She drowned trying to get up the pool wall instead of going to the shallow part.
Oh,
but
yeah.
She's a strong swimmer at least, so
that's good. Yeah, Bruno. So I ordered that little tiny life jacket for Bruno.
Yeah.
But it was actually too small, so I had to get one size up.
Aw.
I know. I measured him and everything. Damn Amazon measuring guides. Okay. We have a Canine Good Citizen test here coming up August 8th. So that's actually a couple weeks away. This weekend is the Teamworks North American Diving Dogs dock diving event. It's also the Battle of the Breeds, which is a fundraiser event. Proceeds go to the Romanian organization that is helping loose dogs in the Ukraine. I don't know. I just go to do the Battle of the Breeds because we always win Best Dutch Shepherd because we're the only Dutch Shepherds there.
But also because they're good at it.
Yeah, sure. And then Alba will be on the winning team because she is technically an All-American dog because I don't have any AKC papers for her. So we're going to be going to the NAD regionals next month.
Oh, yeah.
I think.
Congrats.
Thanks. Yeah. So that's going to be super fun. We already booked our jumps. However, we booked our jumps for Thursday, which is great. I'm let's get them all done on Thursday, and then we'll go home. It'll be fine. But you can't get your placement ribbons unless you stay until Sunday.
What?
And I'm I'm not going all the way down there not to get ribbons.
Well, can you vend?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know if I want to do that, though. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, but you should just get one of those little pull-behind trailers and just keep it set up as your vending trailer. That way you can just, pick it up and leave.
I mean, I have a cargo trailer.
Are you using it all the time? Vending trailer.
Vending trailer? I don't know. Because, it'd be weird, if you have to, climb into the back of this trailer to go, shopping.
Well, no, you don't have to make people climb back there, but you could have stuff, pre-set up. You get you know what the I think it's Pet Supplies Plus, they have all of the bins of, the chews in that, rack.
I haven't been there. But yes, I think I know what you mean.
It's the plastic bins that you just put lids on. Mm-hmm. You could get something like that with wheels or whatever that you can wheel it out of the trailer. Lock it. Vending.
Huh. Vending. Think about it. Trying to find ways to make it more efficient, but
You can put like a pegboard on the inside of the door, just swing the door open.
yeah. Well, the door swings down.
Oh, it's one of those.
Yeah. Exactly. It's not made for that. But
Oh,
I could look into one that is. Or I could retrofit it.
you can figure it out.
Anyways, okay, so for today's topic, we are talking about reactivity in dogs. So, Kelly, why are we talking about reactivity in dogs?
Well, because I was thinking the other day, and that's usually what gets me into trouble. I was like, I hate when people are like, my dog is dog reactive. Because, and I'm talking from like a professional standpoint, like you're talking to your vet, your groomer, your dog trainer, whatever. People on the street don't need to know your business. But like, you say my dog is reactive. And I look at that, and less in the dog trainer standpoint, like if I'm a vet assistant or someone that doesn't maybe know dog behavior as well as a trainer might, you say my dog's dog reactive. That can mean your dog wants to eat dogs, or it can mean that your dog has overexcitement issues with dogs. They're both reactivity, but I feel like when you're talking in the context of this is my dog and he has this problem, for safety purposes, we need to stop being like my dog is just generally reactive, because you get a lot of the overexcitement dogs, and I think that starts getting people to be a little lazy in their defensive handling, and that can lead to some issues. That was my main thought. That's why I want to talk about it.
I like the fact that we're talking about, when we're talking about a topic like this, I think it's important that we always kind of like define it before we really get into the nitty-gritty of it. And the term reactivity does have, like you said, it has a wide range of meanings. It could be aggression, it could be overexcitement. But basically, like, if you really want to narrow it down to a very simple definition, it's basically any time a dog shows any type of reaction to another dog.
Yeah. Or
like for us and our dogs, right? When we're walking down the street and we pass by another dog, right? Our dogs don't blink twice at them, right?
Yeah.
Our dogs don't even really notice them. And that is what we would call like a neutral dog. Now, if your dog has maybe a history of reactivity, but is still able to manage their impulse control, it doesn't mean that your dog is not reactive, but now that reactivity is under control, under management. So, any type of, behavior towards another dog, either like just ignoring you and blowing off your commands to go like look at the other dog, try to pull towards the other dog, bark at the other dog, whatever behavior it is, anything that changes when they see another dog would be considered, in my view, as reactivity.
Yeah.
But now we're going to be talking about like the extremes of it, what causes like the extremes, like what causes a dog to respond in a way that is now problematic, essentially. Like, I think that's what most people are really concerned about. Like when that reactivity is, barking, lunging, jumping, growling, snarling, redirecting on the handler, things that are really embarrassing and stressful to deal with when you're out in public with your dogs. And, how to better understand what's going on so that way we can better address it from there.
Yeah, and I do want to clarify real quick, because I don't think you meant to do this, but you kind of keep saying dog, like reactivity about dogs. It can also be reactive to anything, not just dogs, which I know you know that. I just want to make sure it's clear listening.
Yeah.
But yeah, part of the reason... Oh, sorry, you go ahead.
Yeah, and I think the biggest one is going to be the dogs. That's the most common one we get. Granted, most of the time people come in with their dogs, they're also a little human reactive. But, if it's overexcitement and friendliness, people usually don't care. But, when we see like human aggression, it's usually human reactivity.
Yeah.
So.
And I feel like the word reactivity, I feel like maybe when the term first came about, and I don't have any proof or reference for this, I feel like it was dog trainers going, your dog is overreactive. Your dog is overreactive. And I think over time we've just shortened it to reactive. And I really don't like that, because if it's a living animal, it's going to react. Like, obviously we're talking about extremes, but I feel like the terminology in itself makes it kind of lean towards dogs are robots, almost. Like, your dog's not allowed to react to things. Like my dog. her eyes will look over, right? If someone's passing us, it doesn't mean I need to like do any training crap on her, excessively. But your dog, it can have reactions. We're just looking at that over reaction.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're going to be looking at the, when it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
It's not a problem until it's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But it all starts from when it's not a problem. Of course, no one really does anything about it until now it's a problem, and now we got to fix it. Even though it was starting probably well before that. Okay. So in most instances, when people are coming in complaining of dog reactivity, what is it that we hear from most pet people? Like, what is the main complaint that we hear?
So for my overexcitement dog, well, honestly, for both dog owners, you're typically hearing like the dog's ears turn off, they're hitting the end of the leash, they're fixated on the other dog, they can't get them back. And then if we're going down the path of dog aggression, then the owners will be like, there's growling, the hackles are raised, the dog is snarling and air snapping, maybe the dog's spinning, trying to come back to you, it's barking. The other overexcitement dog might bark as well, but that's where we're seeing down two paths.
Mm-hmm. And usually, from what you described, most commonly our pet owners are seeing this either when they're on a walk with their dog or their dog's on a leash in a public place. And I think we're probably gonna talk quite a bit about what the leash has to do with the situation.
Yeah, and there's a lot. I feel like there's so much about this topic that it's kind of impossible to fully, thoroughly cover all of it in just a podcast too. So this is not going to be like the Bible on dog aggression by any means.
No. So, when we're talking about I had this experience with someone who's coming to our club, right? Our training club. And it's a sport training club, right? And he came in with his dog, and he had the dog on a harness, on a bungee leash, and I had Medic. I put Medic in a down because I was just gonna have Medic do a long down for our warm up session. And his dog is coming out hackles up, total forward dominant posture, freaking out at Medic, who's just laying there not doing anything. And he says to me, "Oh, he's just overexcited. He's just really excited. He loves other dogs. He's not aggressive." And I'm like, okay. Sure, yeah, that's not what I'm seeing. And I think, we're going to start to talk about, maybe at one point it was just your dog gets really excited, but now it's becoming something else, which people think, oh, if my dog is reactive, but is out of a place of being really excited about something and being unable to control that excitement, that they don't have to fix it.
Yeah.
But not understanding that can actually become something more on the side of aggression, more problematic down the road.
Cool.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes. I was like, I'm not sure where you want me to go with that. That was just a side story.
No, go ahead.
Dude, I've been out in the sun all day. When you've been at the beach all day, your brain is not, that sounds like a really backwards little flex, but it just means that I cannot think.
No, I don't know what it's like to be at the beach all day because I work all the time.
I'm just, honestly, I like to say I'm on vacation, but I'm just training my dogs and doing computer work in a different environment.
When you're out decoying all day in the sun?
I would, yeah. I mean, that's honestly very similar.
Yes.
Except my arms do not hurt, except where Gracie, you can't really see it, but she nibbed me really hard, and it's it looks like a bite through a bite suit and everything. That's the closest I get to biceps. Anyway.
I got some good arrow bites on Saturday.
Oh, yeah?
I didn't fall this time.
Oh, good. I'm proud.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think my tricep's starting to debruise. It's been black.
Okay. So, talking about how overexcitement becomes aggression.
Yes. So this can happen, there's just so many nuances to this. But it could be that the dog was overexcited for a while and then had some continuously bad experiences with the other dogs it ran up on, or dogs that had maybe ran into the yard, whatever, accident or something. And it can also be, just like we talked about in our Dominance by Default episode, go listen to that. It was a good episode.
It was really good.
Yeah, it was a juicy one. But it can be that the dog is lacking that structure and just saying, my job now is to be going up to every dog, and they're starting to become defensive because they're not entirely sure of boundaries and stuff, because maybe sometimes one owner, pulled him away from the dog, and then one owner might let the dog run up to the dog. You know what I mean? And I feel like dog parks are also a huge culprit of this too. You take the dog to the dog park and he's getting used to always running up on other dogs. And then maybe over time at the dog park, he starts becoming maybe like territorial of something. He gets into a couple scuffles. And then he starts having that repeat practice of running up to dogs and aggressing on dogs, etc., etc. And then the leash, we'll talk about that momentarily, but that's going to also escalate some stuff as well.
Oh, yeah. And it makes me, I always try to think of like a human equivalent. I know we don't want to necessarily humanize or anthropomorphize dogs, but I think creating a human equivalent to how we understand dogs, because you know what I have seen, and like it happens with like dogs with people, like greeting people, and I've seen it also happen with dogs greeting other dogs, is like you'll see a dog, and this happened with the dog that was here last night, where the dog like runs up to a person. So like the dog was coming over to me, like the handler had him on the leash and he wanted to come over and talk to me, and he's letting his dog come right up to me, and the dog is pulling him to get to me, and then as soon as the dog gets to me, looks uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Even though the dog put himself in that situation. And like you said, it had become this routine of going up to the person or to the dog and then suddenly putting themselves in a situation that, oh crap, I don't really want to be here.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of like what a human equivalent would be of that. I remember back when I was like in my younger days, when I used to go bar hopping, I used to be a social butterfly. We go drinking at the bar and I'd talk to everybody. And I'd go up and make new friends. I'd talk to the bartender. I'd talk to whoever's sitting next to me, having a great time. And every once in a while, you start talking to somebody and you go, shit, I don't really want to be having this conversation. You found out that they're a freaking weirdo. They won't stop talking to you. They won't let you walk away, and even if you do try to walk away, they just follow you, right?
Yeah.
And I've had these weird, sketchy, creepy situations happen enough that I just don't want to go out and meet new people anymore, because everyone I meet these days seems to be freaking weird.
Yeah.
But like our dogs are kind of like that, where, hey, I've had a lot of great experiences going up and playing with new dogs at the dog park, going up and greeting new people. But then like every once in a while I'll go up to greet somebody and go, ooh, that's a little bit weird. I don't like this. I'm uncomfortable, but I'm already in the position. I'm already in the situation and I don't know how to handle it now.
Yeah.
And so I think that can also be a contributing factor to our dogs, where it's this routine where I go up to everybody, where my owner has let me go up to everybody all the time. It's the routine. We meet somebody new, we go up to them, we greet them. But sometimes I don't like it. So I'm going to let them know, like, hey, if you do anything weird, when I get over there, bad things are going to happen. And they are starting to show and present that aggression, that dominance, before they even get to the person.
Yeah.
Before they get to the dog.
I think I have a good example for this. I mean, I feel like not when I was in school, because honestly, I feel like when I went to school, bullying was kind of like out of style. But like, if you think back to like TV bullies and stuff, and I think I'm wearing my shirt backwards, I'm just realizing this. Sorry. But, on TV and stuff, you'll have like the oldest bully who bullies like maybe a younger kid, and then the other kids in that same grade are getting bullied by the younger kid. So the kid's getting picked on and therefore picking on others. The dog's, had a couple run-ins with a dog that's kind of pushed him around. So now he's going to push around the other dogs, kind of gaining a little bit of control back in there.
Or if you've ever watched like a TV show or a movie depicting like, prison culture, right? If you're new to a prison or new to jail, first thing you do is you beat up the biggest guy in the room, right? To establish your dominance or whatever. And, if you're going in there and you're like, hey, this is a scary situation, I want to establish control as quickly as possible of the situation. I'm going to go in there and aggress, and set that expectation where, hey, I'm in charge here. And the dog, I think, is doing that in those situations. So yeah. That's a good example. But I think we're definitely erring very much straight into like the aggressive realm. I think the classic dog reactivity or human reactivity that we see, which, it's really common these days, unfortunately, because the way our society has been treating dogs for so long, it's becoming more and more common, I think.
Yes. For sure. So do you want to talk about overexcitement a little, or do
Yeah.
you talk about human aggression? Because I know we talked a lot about dog aggression.
Let's talk about overexcitement.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to talk about kids. Not in a weird way, but yeah, overexcitement. So this is also super common. My favorite phrase is he's friendly. That's when the dog is, of course, overexcited to go meet dogs and people. They're pulling at the end of the leash. They don't give two craps about the cookie in your hand. They just want to go over there. They're usually pretty rude when they get over there. The dog will jump on the person. They'll be like sniffing all up in your crotch, being just a really kind of rude dog. Same with when they meet other dogs. They'll be circling their butt, trying to sniff aggressively, usually. Not like aggressive as in they're going to bite, but like very pushy with that sniffing.
Assertively.
Yes, assertively. They may, kind of be trying to jump on the other dog, just being, kind of a turd. And a lot of times I feel like that overexcitement relates back to that. It's just the pattern of this always happens every time. And I think so many people are so concerned about their dog becoming aggressive that they think about socialization and they don't even bother with the word neutral. It's just, let's go shove this dog in the face of every single dog we see on the road. Who cares about parvo? That doesn't exist anymore, right?
Yep.
Parvo does exist, guys. Please vaccinate for parvo. But those kind of shove the dog in every dog's face, so it becomes a pattern of this always happens. And then I think coupled with that a lot of times too is when they do have dogs playing with each other, they don't correct the rude behaviors. They don't pull the dog out of the rude behaviors because Fido's being friendly with other Fido, and look, haha, it's cute because they're puppies.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing you see in the dog park as well, is people show up to the dog park, the dog's already freaked out, going, oh my god, it's dog park time. They already don't give a crap about you. And then you just unclip the leash and off they go with their friends to go do whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's overexcitement.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. Yeah. Like, I wish more people were familiar with, like, dog culture in, let's say, like, Europe. Because, like, reactivity doesn't exist in Europe. And it's very much a product of the way human culture, treats dogs. So, in, like, Europe, like, most of the dogs are just not on leash, right? And they're not just running up to people and other dogs because, they don't reward that, right? When here, like, if my dog goes up to some stranger, right? If I let my dog go up to say hi to some stranger, more likely than not, that stranger's gonna go, oh, look at the cute little puppy, oh, right? Start petting him and loving him and talking him all cute and happy like, and the dog's gonna go crazy, wagging his tail and loving it, right? So the dog is learning, I run up to people and then I get this really, high buzz of excitement and, everything's great and wonderful. But it's creating this classically conditioned neurological response to seeing people, or same thing with seeing dogs. And so, that doesn't happen. So if the dog went up to somebody else, that person would give them no response. And they begin to realize, like, going up to other people gets me nothing.
Yeah.
Going up to other dogs gets me nothing. And, in Europe, they're really kind of strict with their training too. So in Europe, they're really strict with their expectations of the dogs, their training, what the dog's behavior is supposed to be. The dog doesn't get away with, maybe if I get away with it once or twice, 3 times, look, my mom left me out of the crate and I destroyed the house 4, 5, 6, 7 times before my mom decides, oh, I probably need to crate my dog when I'm gone, like it would happen here in the United States. No. Like, if it happened one time, like in Europe, they're putting an end to that. So either they're going to correct the dog, they're going to create safety measures, the dog might live outside in an outdoor kennel, who knows, right? But like, there's like a lot less tolerance for these inappropriate behaviors. Where here, we let the dogs get away with this stuff so much before we actually do anything about it that we let it get to an extreme.
Yeah.
And so, like, if they're out walking with their dog and their dog tries to go over and say hi to someone else, that's probably going to come with some type of consequence, like the very first time.
Yeah.
And so the dogs are learning from the first time and every time. It's just not really in my best interest to go up to other people and other dogs. Here, we use our dogs as like social lubricants.
Yes.
We use dogs to greet new people, start conversations, be part of a social community, because I love dogs and you love my dogs and I love your dogs, and our dogs play together and we can set play dates, and this is now our social life and our whole personalities. I think it's partly why I really like getting into like the sport dog community, because we still have that social lubricant of having dogs and having that common ground. But it's not about my dogs saying hi to you and you saying hi to my dogs. It's about us getting together and we can hang out and socialize. But the dogs are like put away until it's our turn to do our sport thing, which is kind of nice.
I think part of it is like, and I can't really speak about Europe because I've never been or know anything about it, but like I know in America, like the humans here are very dog reactive. They have overexcitement issues with their dogs.
Oh my God,
and,
yes.
Like you're saying, having a dog isn't, oh, I have an animal, like maybe someone has a lizard or whatever. This is like my personality now for like a lot of people, which I know it's funny me saying that and I'm talking on a dog podcast and being my dog self here, but like you walk into a Hobby Lobby and look at all the cringy dog decor. You know what I mean?
I love the dog decor.
Yeah, like just all the nice dog decor, I mean. Humans are very, very much not dog neutral for the most part. And I don't see I've actually seen an increase, I think, in the number of people telling their kids to not go pet the dog. But like very recently, actually, I had Gracie in a downstay at Lowe's, and this elderly man just came up and started petting her and talking to her, and she held her stay because I was going to correct her if she didn't, because I'm like, you better. But like, you don't know anything about my dog. That could have been a reactive dog that I was having do neutrality work, and you putting your hand down there, you just lost a pinky. You know what I mean? And then also he asked me where I lived, and I was like, my business is called this. You can call me if you want dog training. But it's weird. Yeah. But yeah, that is like insane to me that you would just go up and touch someone's animal like that. Can you imagine if you did that to a baby? Like someone just walking down the street and just run out and just start touching their child?
Well, the other thing that baffles me is people
behavior.
just letting their dogs walk right up to strangers, right? Like that is something I see a lot that I really hate. Even like the dog is on the leash. So like one thing I do to people is if I'm out and they have their dog, let's say even we're doing dog training stuff. So they're coming in to participate in our group class, or they're coming in to participate in puppy class or whatever. And maybe it's their first time there and their dog is at the end of the leash pulling towards me. I start backing away. One, it's so I can see what the owner is going to do. A lot of times the dog is pulling, and even though I'm backing away from the dog, the owner is still letting the dog pull forward.
Yeah, it's like, don't bring that to me. I don't want this.
Like, aren't you reading my body language? I am backing away from your dog. And you know the craziest thing is, I remember when I was at Starmark, there was another student who had a dog, and I was out pottying Bro. Bro is very dog reactive and human reactive, so a human with a dog on a leash was double trouble for him. So we were out pottying. I mean, we were in training, so he was doing really good, but we were on like one side of the potty area, and the other person with their dog was on the other side of the potty area, and we were having a little conversation across the potty area. And as we were talking, this person was like getting closer and closer to us. And as they did, I was moving further and further away, trying to maintain what I knew was our critical distance, right?
Yeah.
And the person just kept closing in while we're having a conversation. At a certain point, I'm like, oh, bitch, stop doing that. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. For real. No, so my neighbor has this, like, it's gotta be like maybe 5 months old, a little Aussie puppy. I was working a client dog, and this dog just shows up. Little tiny puppy. And like I knew which neighbor it was, and my client dog was like it was going home like the next day, so like this dog had pretty good obedience. So I just put the dog in a heel, scruffed the puppy, picked it up, put it under my armpit like this, just walked over, knocked on the door. I was like, is this yours?
Oh my God.
The dude was a total dick. But then I'm like driving to go do something later, and I see puppy's just fucking wandering around the yard, no leash, no fence, no nothing, and someone's walking down the sidewalk straight to the person to go fuck around. The dude's like, stop. And I'm like, we don't care about this?
You're right.
We're cool with this happening right now?
And I'm sure, like, that little tiny puppy, little fluffy Aussie puppy, so cute, running up to somebody, I'm sure some stranger's gonna go, look at the cute little puppy!
That's if it doesn't get hit by a car, because people fly through my freaking... Like, I don't live in a safe neighborhood. People fly through there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, safe as in traffic or, like, you know, social rates.
Yeah. And I mean, like, the other, like, contributing factor, too, I think, is, like, we are breeding some of these really popular breeds, and we're breeding in, like, a lack of confidence and a level of nerviness that is unprecedented. And I think that's really contributing to how this overexcitement can become this, like, really nervy energy that is very unpredictable and can turn very bad very quickly. So we end up with dogs kind of like my German Shepherd Bro, who is, you know, dog aggressive, dog reactive, human aggressive, all the terrible things. Now, under management, under control, he's under control to a point, right? There's a limit to how much he'll tolerate. And I remember at our really old facility we used to have, there's this guy who used to take his two little, what were they? I think they might have been like Aussies, or they might have been like Shelties, and he would walk them through our parking lot off leash.
Yeah.
Our back parking lot, which we use for training all the time. And I remember, like, I was about to walk outside, and there's these two little fucking Shelties just standing at the door. And I'm like, you are so lucky I didn't have Bro with me. Because if Bro's on a leash and he gets one of those Shelties in his mouth, like, he's gonna kill it.
Yeah.
And I can hold him back, but if they're coming to him, nah, this shit out of luck.
Yes. And, oh my goodness. Okay, can I talk about little dogs for a moment?
Oh my god, yes.
So first of all, like, we're breeding some horrible little dogs. Like, close your eyes and imagine a Chihuahua. Most of us are imagining, like, shaking, snarling little, like, sewer rat things. The Chihuahua, first of all, it is supposed to have the alien head. They can be deer head or apple head. I'm learning because I'm a Chihuahua owner now. Although my Chihuahua is not a well-bred Chihuahua or purebred. I think she's part Corgi.
She's part angel, okay?
Yeah, 100% angel. God, she looks like a freaking football. Anyway, we've lost half a pound. We're trying. But the Chihuahuas are supposed to be outgoing, courageous. Like, they want to be out and hanging out with everybody and very social. And that is, like, none of us have seen a Chihuahua like that. I don't think any of us have seen a Chihuahua like that.
No.
Unless maybe you're going to AKC shows. Like, that's it. I know a Chihuahua that can play the saxophone, and I don't know a Chihuahua that's freaking social. Like, insane. I think it's just a toy that it holds in its mouth. But I think another reason we have this idea of little dogs, like, I sent my dad a picture of my new Chihuahua, and his answer was ankle biter. And that's not even the first response I've had about the same dog. And it's because of the way we treat little dogs, too. And I have a sneeze coming on, but I'm going to talk until my sneeze appears, if it does. But, like, so we're visiting our in-laws and stuff, whatever, and our step-niece, in-law thingy, little kid, like 4.5 maybe, like, the dog snapped at her. It's a little schnauzer, because she went up and tried to hug the dog. And it's like an elderly schnauzer. It doesn't want to be messed with. And it snapped at the kid. And everyone in the room got mad at the dog. Mm-hmm. And my stupid self, because I can't keep my freaking trap shut, because it's not my business, I'm like, it's not the dog's fault. I'm like, she does not want to be hugged by that child. And people are like, get so offended when dogs do stuff like that. And like, I think it's like 70% of dog bites are kids. Mm-hmm. It's because we don't give dogs the proper respect like we should for an animal. And we see it a lot with the little dogs. It's why they're coined ankle biters. Kids will grab them and squeeze them, and mom's posting it on Facebook because, look, Jimmy's playing with the new puppy. The new puppy is like, I'm going to shoot myself after this.
Yeah, the guy that was here last night was saying that he had a Mal previously who snapped at a kid because the kid tried to touch its face. Yeah. Like, first of all, Malinois bite. Like, that's their thing. And if you're, like, touching my face, I'm probably going to do something about it. Like, don't touch the dog in the face. Sorry. And he's like, well, we tried to desensitize him. So, like, we would touch his face, do this, do that, do whatever. I'm like, so when the dog was really little, it learned that when you come up to it, you're going to poke it in the face. Yeah, it's probably going to say, I'm going to expect that now and try to stop you from doing that next time you try to come towards me.
Insane. And I'm realizing, like, the more, it's funny because it, like, you keep reaching new levels as a dog trainer. And I feel like you go into dog training going, I need to fix the dog. And then you go, I just need to educate the owner. And then you just go, I need to educate the owner and the dog. And now I'm at the point where, like, it's still all of that stuff, but it's just that I'm going to always have a goddamn job because no one knows how to act around animals, right? Like, no one understands that a dog is an animal, I don't think. And, like, I feel like most of the listeners are like, well, duh, I know a dog is an animal. You know, it's not a human, which we're animals too, but you know what I mean? But, like, you can know that, but you're still not respecting it. You still don't truly understand that this thing does not think the way you do. It thinks very primitive. And I know I have good job security, is all I'm saying.
Yeah. We'll always have clients, but I think one of the things I struggle with as time goes on is the fact that, like, a lot of the training that people are looking for is just the Band-Aid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people don't really want the solution. They just want to address the symptoms. And it's really, like, unsettling because a lot of times, you know, we know it's just going to lead to worse problems. It's like, hey, your wheels are falling off the car and I know you just want an oil change.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like my little Honda Accord with all the cordage coming out of the tires, and I just
my god, yes.
Until my tire popped.
That car was amazing.
I sold it for $200 and immediately spent that on a Ruffland from you. Just so you know, I
thought it was $400.
Or maybe it was $400. I don't know. I just priced it to where I could just buy the kennel from you, and then I sold it to my friend.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm helping everyone now. But yeah, no, I'm like. I'm about to do a free group class, which I guess I forgot to announce this. Starting 7/29, I will have group classes completely for free in Copper's Cove. It's like 5 classes, basic obedience, Mondays at 7. Information's on my Facebook page. But I'm writing a little homework guide for that, and then also because I've wanted one to give to my clients, going all over the basics. And I think I mentioned in the before notes and stuff 3 different times that your dog is an animal. It does not think like a human. Just to make sure these people get the point across, because I feel like that is one of the biggest it's not like an issue, it's a roadblock almost when I'm explaining to owners how to improve life with their dog. You know, it's saying this is not your stuffed animal that breathes. This is a critter.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very, very difficult to change your thought process on that.
Yeah. And I think it's it's really important, when we start talking about how do we fix this, hey, it's all well and good for people to learn what reactivity really is and, to be able to see the preventative, importance of preventative maintenance, I guess. But the thing is, people aren't going to care about reactivity until it's a problem. And the only reason they care about it now is because they want it to stop. Yeah. So if your dog is already reactive, I would say let's kind of start getting into how do we fix it? We as dog trainers, someone comes into us and says, my dog has reactivity. How do I fix it?
I love that you use the word fix because I hear it a lot, and you and I both know there is not fixing involved in this. So when we talk about dog reactivity and things, there's no changing the way your dog handles the situation because your dog has been doing what's successful for them and has been what's worked for them over the period of their entire life until you met me today at this point. So there is no fixing. It's called maintenance and controlling the environment and, doing all the things that you can do with your dog to create neutrality and focus in the situations that your dog wants to go psycho mode in or crazy mode in. And I will say too, I've had actually probably more reactivity and aggression cases in my entire career since moving to Texas. And I've been here maybe I don't know how long, 5 months, something like that, 6 months.
It's been a long time.
Or I guess it's almost been a year.
It's been a very long time.
Yeah, it's been a bit. But it's like I've had so many of these cases, and I don't think a single one of them has been the same as the last in what I do for the dog. So, I don't think I can go on here and be like, step 1 is this and step 2 is that, but I can say that first thing I recommend is we add in structure. So we teach the dog how to talk the talk, walk the walk. Handling obedience, good public obedience, if that's what the owner is like dead set on doing, is having the dog able to work in public, we'd work towards that. But really we're kind of just giving the dog a handle at that point with the obedience. And then we do a ton of proofing and neutrality stuff, but that's easy for me to say right now on this, but each dog has quirks and little things that we have to raise or lower. And there can be so many factors into reactivity and aggression and stuff like that too. We have our dominance by default. We have true dog reactivity, true dog aggression, true human aggression, all that stuff. And it's a big balance, I think, of wanting to know some of the history of the dog, but also being able to say, okay, that happened, too bad, so sad, today we get over it. And you have to find where in that spectrum you need to swing for that specific dog. It's never going to be the same. Because I know some dog trainers will track down to the exact moment a dog had that one little issue in life that made him this way.
Oh my God, I hate that so much.
Yeah.
I hate that so much. I've had so many clients who come in who are like, or you see this, I see this so much in service dog forums and service dog Facebook pages or whatever. This one time, this tragic thing happened, and now my dog is wildly reactive because this one incident happened this one time. No, it was not just one time. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It might have happened. That might have been the worst thing that happened to them, but it was not this happened one time and my dog is all of a sudden broken forever.
Yeah.
This dog had problems before that one incident. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're okay. Because it's, that's the way far side of the spectrum. And we just talked about dog trainer spectrums. So this actually kind of copies that almost a little bit. And the other end of the spectrum is, I don't care. I'm going to just correct it out of you. Or I just don't give a shit about what happened to you. And we have to find where on that spectrum works best for the dog. And it is very dog specific.
So if you, I know you said the first thing you like to do with a dog who's dealing with reactivity, right, is the structure, which is, you're absolutely right. The structure is super important, and implementing structure at home is going to be important. But I think, when we are looking at my favorite thing to ask, right, is why dog do that, right?
Yeah.
Why dog do the thing? Why does dog do anything, right? Why is my dog being reactive? My dog is being reactive because it has produced, like you said, positive results. It's worked in the past. Being reactive, doing these behaviors got me my goal. Whether it was I want to go say hi or I want that dog to go away, right?
Yeah.
If I'm walking down the street and I'm passing by another dog in the opposite direction and I'm barking and growling and jumping and lunging and losing my mind, and we pass by each other, and now that dog is getting further away, look at that, it worked, right? So the dog's behaviors, its choices are all trying to achieve some goal, some, what I'm going to call motivation, right?
Yeah.
Our dog is motivated to do these things from something, and it's something inside of them. Either it's fear or overexcitement or a classically conditioned response, whatever, right? So what we have to do, the first thing we have to do before anything else, I mean, yes, you can implement structure, which is going to help this as well. But what we're doing is we're creating motivation.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
And the structure is actually going to help create motivation, but motivation to do what we want the dog to do.
Yeah.
Right? It's so funny. So I'm going to tell you Daria's story. I'm going to tell you Daria and Medic's stories. So Medic, I love the fact that I'm at the point with Medic, we do protection training, of course. And when dogs do protection training, biting the decoy is their favorite thing in the world. And when they're in the presence of their favorite thing in the world, nothing else matters to them. But Medic is at the point where after we're done doing protection training or in between bites, I can give him a ball and he's happy to take that, right?
Yeah.
I love it. He loves his ball, right? He motivated enough for his ball that he can take that in the face of something more important, right? And now Daria, she's much younger. And when the decoy exists, nothing else exists.
Yeah.
Right? Except for treats. She will
my goodness.
take kibble in the presence of the decoy.
No.
It blows my mind. I don't know why or how, but she'll take it. But she won't take a toy. So what we can do, right, we're trying to create obedience in the presence of what we call a competing motivator. Now for her, she loves the decoy, and that's why she's struggling with this competing motivation, is because she wants that. Our dogs want to perform the reactive behaviors when they see whatever it is, the dog, the person, whatever that reactive behavior is. If it's aggression, growling, barking, lunging, or excitement, like I want to go see that person and say, screw you, mom, or screw you, dad. So what we have to do is we have to create a competing motivator. Now, if our dog had a big old breakfast this morning and their big, dog food bowl that they got for free right before their walk, well, they're probably not going to give two shits about your little cookie when they see that thing that causes their reactivity.
Yeah.
If they get free access to toys all day, right, there's no motivation to perform behaviors appropriately to get their toy when there is that competing motivator of the person, the dog, whatever.
Yeah.
So creating the motivation, which is done, I love to talk about this from a very holistic, multifaceted approach, meaning using structure, which in dog trainer terminology, we're talking about deprivation, right? Structure is saying there are privileges that you are not going to get until you meet my expectations. So when we say structure, we're saying you want to go outside and go play? Okay, fine. Sit at the door, right? Sit at your kennel before I let you out, right? You're hungry? Cool. Sit. I'll give you some kibble.
Yeah.
Down. I'll give you some kibble. Walk politely at my side and you'll get some kibble. If my dog doesn't know how to do that, right, we'd use this as part of the training process, teach our dog how to do these behaviors. And we teach our dog, like, hey, listen, if you want to eat, you have to perform these behaviors. And if you don't perform these behaviors, you don't eat, right? Now, granted, when we're first starting out, our dog is going to be doing these behaviors not in the presence of what makes them reactive. We have to teach them these behaviors in a vacuum first. And so that way our dogs understand when I say sit, it means you have to sit. Not only that, but if you sit properly and you sit when I ask you to sit, you're going to get your cookie, your kibble, whatever. Now, we want our dogs ideally working for kibble, right? Because it's low motivation, right? A low value food. But if they're hungry enough, they're going to take it. If there's no competing motivators, too easy.
Yeah.
Now, when there are those competing motivators, i.e. that reactivity stimulus, the dog, the person, whatever it is, we can either use higher value food or create more value in the food that we have. And when I say create more value in the food that we have, I'm talking about making your dog very hungry.
Yeah.
So I might skip like dinner the night before and breakfast this morning before attempting to train in the presence of something that causes that dog to be reactive.
Yeah.
And still I might break out the high value chicken, hot dogs, whatever.
Yeah. And I will say too, like, a big thing is also understanding thresholds with the dog. So you can be pushing the dog too far too fast, and the dog does not even care about your motivator too. And I actually have a personal story about this. I don't know. I have had a lot of reactive dogs lately in my immediate family. It's almost like they don't know a dog trainer. It's insane. But my dad has a girlfriend who has a border collie who initially had dog overexcitement issues. And there's obviously not a whole lot I can do. My dad and her live in Virginia. I live in Texas. It's not compatible for me to be their trainer with this kind of situation. So she goes and finds a trainer. Great, whatever. It's a force-free trainer. Great, whatever. There's good force-free trainers out there. But I talked to my dad the other day, and he's like, yeah, Lucy bit me like twice. And I was like, the dog's name is Lucy, by the way. Not my dad's.
I figured that was the case.
And I was like, what the heck? What's happening? Because this is a really sweet social dog. She has overexcitement issues, stuff like that. And it turns out they've been doing this group class with this dog trainer, $200 for 5 sessions for a group class. And I'm like, okay.
That's not terrible.
Yeah, it's not bad, right? And then they've been doing this group class. She packs like a bunch of string cheese. Great, whatever. they have it so that the dog is so over threshold. She's just doing the border collie stare at the dog, and his girlfriend's supposed to be just trying to feed her. She's not taking the food, and the dog just turns around, bit him in the calf. Did it again, bit him in the ankle. And I'm like, it's weird. I don't want to call her up because we don't really talk, and be like, hey, I heard the trainer you're going to isn't worth a shit. Like, obviously I'm not going to do that, but it's like, your trainer is not helping you. It's making your issue worse. So there is a little bit of balance between pushing your dog to make them grow, over pushing your dog to where you're making the situation worse and the dog is feeling trapped. So in that scenario, they're sitting at a table. The dog's probably feeling trapped with where it's at in accordance to the chairs and stuff. The fact that it's surrounded by other dogs, and they're probably putting it in obedience too. You can definitely overload your dog. So you want to be really careful that you're keeping the training nice and boring and easy and fun too.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot of ways to address reactivity. And, of course, we like to leverage all the different ways depending on the dog, depending on what the dog needs. My favorite is just, like, I think there's value in flooding sometimes.
Yeah.
And just desensitization, right?
Yeah.
Where maybe I just put a dog on the back tie while another dog who is ideally neutral and not going to give them feedback, right? So I might have my dogs out and I might just have my dogs just be out, right?
Yeah.
And obviously I'm not going to let my dogs go up to the other dog, and the dog's probably going to react, go crazy, whatever, and you just let them do it until they just get too tired. And that's one way. And, like, I'm just trying to, like, think about, like, the situation and what could possibly be going through this trainer's mind as to, like, oh, this is how we're going to fix it. But I doubt that was the case. I doubt that's what they were thinking.
I think they were attempting counter conditioning. And of course, I'm not there. I don't see any of this. And it's coming from a third party almost. You know what I mean? Because it's coming from my dad. But even he was like, because he watches all my stuff and listens to all my things. And Aww. He's like, yeah, I know. He's like,
my parents don't.
I'm surprised he knows how to use all this stuff. He's like, I don't know, like 65 now, I think.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, he's doing his best out here. But he's like, even from what I've learned from you and stuff, like, this lady does not seem to know what she's doing. But of course, it's his girlfriend, so he's just kind of going along with it and joining her. But I think they're just trying to counter condition. And I think it's one of those things where, like, and I went through this when I worked at the pet store, of you genuinely know you don't know what you're doing, but you're getting defensive about it almost, to where it's like you got to overprove yourself, and that gets you into a sticky situation. And luckily I didn't get into any of those sticky situations when I was new, but I definitely can understand that feeling, like, really defensive and having to overprove yourself because you're insecure in your abilities.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like maybe that might be it, but I don't know. I don't know this lady. It could even be that she's fine and maybe my dad's girlfriend isn't paying attention. I don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? But yeah.
So counter conditioning.
Yes.
Let's talk about that for a second.
Okay.
So counter conditioning, I think, people misunderstand how to use the concept of counter conditioning. What it is changing our dog's attitude towards something, right?
Yeah.
And counter conditioning is not geared towards changing the dog's behavior. It's about changing the mental state. My dog is dog aggressive because they have a negative association with dogs. They think, oh my God, dogs are bad. I need to aggress towards that dog to, make sure that dog doesn't do anything bad to me.
Yeah.
And so what we're trying to do with counter conditioning is, in a way, change my dog's mental state. So when they see a dog, they don't go, shit. They go, okay, right?
Yeah.
I want the dog to ideally either be neutral about other dogs. I honestly don't care if it actually swings to ooh, look, another dog. That's great. I think that it's a lot easier to tamp down a little bit of overexcitement than it is to control a dog who's showing a very negative association. Because when we start to get into that negative association, we're getting into things like fear. Fear will always trump obedience.
Yes.
But when our dog is super excited about something, it's a lot easier to say, buddy, I know you like that, but you can't have it right now. We have to do obedience. And our dog goes, okay, right?
Yeah.
That's a lot easier to manage than a dog who's like terrified or scared or nervous or anxious or whatever, because those are very like powerful emotions.
Yeah. And I think the big downside here to classical, or not, I mean, it is kind of classical conditioning, but counter conditioning, not that counter conditioning isn't great and doesn't work, but a big downside of it is it takes a long time because you are classically conditioning the dog. You're changing the dog's emotion about a certain stimulus. So it does take a long time. And if you don't continue the training and keep up with that, the dog is going to default back to whatever original state it was in because it's had a better, longer time practicing that. So there are a little bit of downsides to the classical conditioning, and it's, typically it's something which, of course, with all reactivity and aggression cases and stuff like that, you want the owners to be really involved. But if you are going the counter conditioning route, you need the owner to be like very, very, very involved and very up on their psychology and stuff like that too.
Mm-hmm. And if you want my opinion about how I like to address reactivity, is I like to actually very much in the realm of operant conditioning, because the idea that we're really going to like deeply change the dog's mental state about something that they have had this response to their entire life is, I think, a little foolhardy. While we can't maybe change how our dog really feels about something, we can change our dog's behavior. So the operant conditioning route says when this stimulus exists or the stimulus is presented, the behavior is X, Y, and Z produces this result. Now, up to this point, what has been happening is the stimulus is, oh, look, another dog. Behavior is reactivity, and the result has been beneficial, which produces that behavior over and over again for the dog. So what we're going to do is we're going to change it to, when you see this dog, and this is why obedience and the motivation is really important. When you see the dog, I'm going to ask you for this behavior. So you see dog, I'm going to ask you for a recall, right? Come to me, come look at me, pay attention to me. When you do, the benefit is you get your reward, whatever it is that's motivating my dog for training, i.e. food, toys, whatever. Enough repetition of this doesn't necessarily make my dog like other dogs any better or like whatever it is that's making them reactive, but it's teaching them that there is another safe option that is producing a positive result for them. And so I can attest to this from experience with Bro specifically, because he's human aggressive and he's the one that I spent the most behavior modification time with, and the most different techniques and methods and different trainers and time and effort and tears, that to find something that actually worked when I needed it to was amazing. And what had happened was, just like I said, hey, when you see a person that makes you scared or nervous, recall gets you what you want.
Yes.
And we were training in my garage, and I had a roommate. A new roommate to me. He was still kind of getting to know my dogs, right? My dogs are, a lot of them are older rescues that I've had for a really long time who have a lot of problems. Bro specifically is human aggressive, big, mean German Shepherd. And my roommate never goes in the garage, never had any reason to. He didn't park in the garage or anything like that. And I'm in there training, doing scent detection with Bro off leash. Bro is going to the scent boxes, which are closer to the door. And so my roommate, for some reason, just busts into the garage. And now Bro is about 4 feet away from my roommate. I'm on the other side of the room, and I'm like, oh, shit. Oops. And I froze because I didn't want to make it worse. So Bro just like immediately just turns around and comes back to me. I'm like, good. I gave him a whole bunch of cookies, and I grab a hold of them like, oh, sweet Jesus. But it worked because we had spent so much time being like, hey, look, a person, come to me. Hey, look, a person, come to me. Hey, look, a person, come to me. That it became default for him. Now, he was still scared. He was definitely still scared of my roommate. Like, it still was a long time after that my roommate really won him over by using what we call the bro tax system, where every time my roommate had food, Bro got bro tax, and he got a piece of whatever it was my roommate was eating. But hey, it works.
Yeah, Bro ate so much of all of my lunches when I worked in your Rayford house.
The bro tax.
The bro tax.
I love it.
Gosh. Yeah, and just like you taught Bro the cue of a person come to me, you can also teach your dog to react as well. So I have a current client and I already told her our next lesson I'm going to record her and play it back to her because she has a habit. Her dog has several issues, but he also likes to chase cars. And it's a cattle dog. Imagine that.
What? A cattle dog likes to chase things that are moving? Weird.
But she's a super sweet client. But she doesn't even think about it. But she'll see a car and she like starts preparing the leash and gets all like weird about it. And I'm like, walk like nothing's happening. Like, stop worrying about it. And so you can, if you're starting to pull the leash up because a dog's passing you, or you're starting to like pull off to the side and get the dog real close to you because someone's walking up to you, you could be cueing them to that reactivity because now they feel that happening. They're going, well, what's about to happen? Because you're getting all freaked out. And I know you freak out every time that the bad stuff happens. You're basically cueing them to start freaking out. So, do keep that in mind. Don't freak out.
So I'm really glad that you brought up talking about leashes.
Yeah.
Because I think leashes, people don't understand how much communication happens through the leash. And like, I love to show people like agitation work in bite work and then looking at a dog being reactive and how we use a leash the exact same way to create that forward aggression.
Yeah.
So when your dog is at the end of the leash and they're putting pressure on the end of the leash, like the pressure that we are putting on the dog in that moment is telling our dog forward, 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 even though we're pulling backwards. Dogs have this thing that we call opposition reflex. Basically, if you push me, I push back. So the same thing opposite applies. If I pull them backwards, they're going to want to pull forward. That's why sled dogs exist that want to pull sleds all day, why huskies are just out there pulling at the end of the leash all the time. When our dog, like you mentioned it before, like, the owner would see a car coming. And I think a lot of owners, they start to recognize the warning signs that their dog is about to react to something. And what do? They tense up that leash. So the dog is already just kind of on the edge. Like, they're like, is this something I need to react to? Do I need to go forward with this reaction, like in this moment? And then the moment we apply that backwards pressure, it's just enough to push the dog forward over that edge. And so, I try to tell people, like, in that moment, the most important thing you can do is keep a loose leash, because that tight leash is telling your dog.
For sure. And so that also makes me think about the bungee leashes. Not only the bungee leashes kind of, first of all, unfair to the dog because they can't quite figure out how far they can go, but they also help what you're talking about, like the pulling forward, because not only do you have you pulling back on the leash, you also have that bunginess pulling them too. And my dog is currently working on some bungee stuff. She's
Mine
taking
too.
Oh, well, cool. Mine's taking a confidence break because she started getting too beat down about herself.
Oh.
I love off-breeds. I love having a golden retriever in bite work. I don't know why my club director lets me do this. I am honestly surprised that he still works my dog because I'm a shitty handler.
Probably because you sacrificed your body for his dogs.
We're using the bungee to build more power in her strike. Because obviously golden retriever, we've got a soft mouth, so it's helping her grip development, which hopefully we're not biting, on the leash for my reactive dog. But having that bit of tension going out increases the power, and it also makes your dog stronger at their lunging. So you're not doing yourself any favors with that bungee leash. Please throw it in the garbage.
Yes, it is really making that forward assertiveness even stronger, for sure. It's the, like, if I love to use, again, human examples. So for instance, right, if I'm cleaning my kitchen and I got to clean behind my fridge. Now I can't pick up and lift my fridge, but if I push hard enough, I can eventually get it to move, right? So if I push this fridge and I'm pushing with all my might and it moves like a half an inch, I know it can move. And if I just push harder, it'll go further. And if I just keep trying, it'll keep going.
Yeah.
Now, imagine I want to redecorate and I go over, or like remodel my house, and I go over and start pushing on the wall. It's never going to budge. I don't care how strong I am, that wall is not going to move, right? And eventually I'm going to give up because it's never going to give me an inch.
Yeah.
So, it's, even if your dog, is at the point where they see something and you don't have to give them any information, you don't apply any leash pressure, and they still go forward and aggress, the next thing is don't give them an inch.
Yeah.
Because if they're pulling at the end of the leash and they can get a little bit further because, you stepped forward with them, or they pulled you off your footing or whatever, if they can get an inch, they're going to try for 2 or a foot or, 10 feet or whatever. Because if they can get some, they're going to try and get more. And so, we always want to try and, if they are at the end of the leash, be a tree, I like to say.
Yeah.
Be a tree. Plant your feet. Keep your leash the exact same length.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the kids with the backpack leashes, and not one of them is ever healing? They're always like pulling on the leash, and the mom behind them like Eric, no candy, Eric. But like Eric's gotten candy that way so many times, so he's just dragging mom through the mall. Same thing. Literally human example, but same exact thing.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly.
That's why we need collars for children.
I know.
No
and husbands.
Exactly.
Or spouses. Sorry, it's not always the husband. Oh my God.
Eric, heal.
Jesus.
Sorry, go ahead.
I love it. Yeah, so the leash is a huge thing. Using the leash properly when you're doing your reactivity training. The other thing is too, like, reactivity oftentimes is a product of like a lack of confidence. Sometimes, and we actually tested this with Bro, and your training director was there for this experience or this experiment. So when I was at dog training school, my roommate, Bro liked my roommate, Amy. He absolutely loves her. And so we were trying to see if Bro was like fear aggressive, dominant aggressive, or resource guarding me or whatever, because under obedience, he was pretty fine until someone got within a really close distance. But I think it was just his critical distance where he just couldn't take it anymore. But I wasn't sure if it was like resource guarding, because we were trying to do like greetings and me shaking someone's hand, and he lost it. So in order to test this, we gave the leash to Amy and I left. And with Amy, he still became reactive, but it was much less confident. And sometimes we become a little bit of a source of confidence for our dog to perform these behaviors more extremely.
Yeah.
So our leash can actually tell our dog where we are. And what I mean is, if I have pressure on the leash and I'm pulling my dog from behind, my dog knows that I'm behind him because he can feel that leash pressure. If I'm pulling my dog sideways, my dog knows I'm to his side. So the leash is actually giving our dog directional cues as to where we are. Therefore, our dog does not need to pay attention to us because they know we are there. When the leash is loose, our dog can't know where we are unless they're actually looking at us. So this is actually something I really emphasize when we're doing reactivity training with our clients, is keeping that leash loose, because I want the dog to have to look away from that stimulus, from that dog, from that person, whatever it is, and look back to find you.
Yeah.
As part of that recall training or heel training, depending on what obedience you're using. But making sure that leash stays loose is really, really important.
Yeah. And it can also, contribute to the dog feeling possibly cornered and trapped. Like I was talking about my dad's girlfriend's dog, chances are that scenario, the dog felt a little bit cornered because it's, you have to look at your environment. Is the dog backed up into a crowd of people or bushes? Are you holding it really tight? Because you could be also putting some defense into the dog as well if you're gripping onto them. Just like we do in bite work, we kind of put all the pressure in on the dog to put them in defense. And I think there's a lot of connection very well from bite work to aggression cases. It's just you're working opposites.
So for bite work, we do all the things you're not supposed to do with a dog who's reactive.
Yes. So it's
exactly.
nice and like flipping over opposites.
Well, it's actually really interesting that you say that too, because I want to make sure we really emphasize that your reactive dog is not protecting you.
Yeah, no, they are not. They do not give two shits. In fact, they are probably putting you in more danger because they could redirect and bite the hell out of your leg or arm.
Yeah.
Or whatever they pick. Who knows?
Yeah, I think I had this conversation with someone last night, 2 nights ago, I don't know, recently, where I've heard this from AKC people all the time. Well, we don't need to do protection training because my dog growled at this guy in a dark parking lot, so I know that he would protect us. I'm like,
yeah.
that is not how it works. I am sorry.
Your dog is about to piss itself, honey.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, your dog is reacting because it's scared of something that is not a threat.
Yeah. Gracie growls and barks in the car, in the kennel, like it sounds like she could come out and fuck someone up, but it's because she's nervous that she's trapped in the kennel in the car. But I let it happen because I'm like, the average person, this is a great car alarm.
And you're getting ready for the carjacking, duh.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I'm probably gonna, when I get my Malinois puppy, I'm probably gonna wash her. Like, she enjoys bite work, but it's not something that she's gonna be proficient in to the point where it's probably...
She is gonna pass her goddamn PDC, okay?
She is barely on a level 2 arm sleeve,
it's
first
fine.
of all, on 4 arms. And she will not currently will not bite your arm in the sleeve. You have to tug. We are far from PDC sleeve division.
It's okay. At least she's young.
I feel more hopeful about IGP. And y'all know I hate IGP so much.
It's the same thing, though. So a PDC with a sleeve division is the same thing as your IGP 3, plus tracking.
Yeah. I know she has the retrieve full points.
Yeah, exactly.
That'll be the thing she screws up. Promise. The retrieve. She'll be like, not today, Mom. Bye. Fuck
as long as she can pick up the level 3 dumbbell, she'll be fine.
Yeah, we will have to probably work on that. But
that bitch is heavy.
She's been nuts in the water. Remember we took her dock diving the first time and it's like she wouldn't get in the water at all?
Mm-hmm.
At my father-in-law's house, there's a pond. She gets so locked in on that pond. Like, it's just like hunting dog locked it, like just stares.
Man, it's almost like she's a golden retriever.
She's so good at it. And the pool out here, I took the toy away because I was like, you are going to drown yourself. So like, just chill the hell out. Just jumping in and out, swimming laps.
I love it.
She like wants to chase you in the pool, but she wants to be with you, and then her little feet scratch. So I'm covered in dog nail scratches now. Anyway,
yeah, I get that.
Did we finish everything we wanted to talk about? Because I'm just talking about my dog.
Isn't that what podcasting's all about?
Yeah, I saw someone on Facebook was asking for like good educational dog podcasts, and I was like, well, this is infotainment.
So like we were listening to one of my favorite podcasts, which I'm totally gonna like name drop them. The last podcast on the left, if you like serial killers and murder like documentary stuff, the last podcast on the left is amazing. And like they cover so much history. And like you can I learned so much useless information about history because everything they talk about, like murders and plagues and serial killers and tragedies and nuclear war and whatever, it's all in the context of the socio-political like environment. And so everything has all this background information. They're super nerds, but they're hilarious. And so I highly recommend it. But like I learned so much more from listening to this podcast about like World War II history than I did from taking World War II history in college. Yeah,
because you want to pay attention because it's funny.
It's funny, yeah. It's like having a really funny professor. Yeah, no, like, so the Jeffrey Dahmer documentary or whatever came out, I barely watched like 15 minutes of the first episode, and I was like, this is boring. But I loved the podcast they did on it. That one and the Donner Party, I know they sound similar. Those were both really good episodes. I liked those. Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I love it. This podcast will kill you is good too, because it's like you want to listen to all the sciencey crap. I listen to that so much. It's a great one. Yeah. Now we're just jabbing about podcasts. Jib jabbing. It's okay. Okay. So we're going to wrap it up here. Okay. So don't forget, folks, we have the K9 Good Citizen Test here in Sanford, North Carolina at the Airborne K9 Training Facility. That'll be on August 8th. We will be vending at the East Coast PSA Regionals. We'll be vending at PSA Nationals and at PSA Worlds.
Yay!
Yay! We will not be competing. We'll be vending at the Tutela PSA trial, and I think we are going to the Midwest regionals as well for PSA. That's going to be in Kentucky, I think, or Tennessee, maybe. Trying to think. Battle of the Breeds this weekend. Don't forget to sign up and join our Advanced Obedience / Sport Dog / Dutch Shepherd, Working Dutch Shepherd Club. It's Sundays and Wednesdays at 5 at our Sanford facility. Kelly, remind everybody about your group class.
Yes, group class will be starting. It will be every Monday at 7 p.m. at the Coppers Cove City Park for 5 classes. Doing basic obedience. All the information's on my Facebook page. There is no need to register, but I will be doing like head count, posts like the day of. But those aren't like super formal, just so I can get a general head count. But yeah, it's completely free. Basic obedience. Even if you don't need basic obedience and you just want to work neutrality in a group, I have a couple people coming just to work their dogs around in the group. So you're welcome to kind of come out, hang out, say hi, whatever. I will not be at Worlds, like I'm 98% sure, because I'm watching my friend's dogs who's going. Her dog is, I don't think she's going to Worlds with her dog, but she's going. So,
Yay!
yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Well, make sure your friend comes over and says hi to me at Worlds.
She's the one that bought the muzzle from you. You could probably, no, Worlds is kind of far. I was going to say you could have just given her muzzle then, but that's kind of far away. But yeah, if you need dog training in the Central Texas area, I am located in Coppers Cove, Texas. I'm very close to Killeen, like 30 minutes from Killeen, pretty close to Waco, and that kind of stuff. I'm here. I offer free phone consultations, so even if you want to do virtual coaching stuff, you can still sign up for a consultation with me. My website is kjk9dt.com, and all of my socials are kjk9 or kjk9 dog training. You'll know it's
hell yeah. All right, I think that's all we got. It's been a long one, but that means it was a good one, usually. Get out there, have fun, train your dogs, and enjoy your day with your dog.